If you follow genealogy rabbit holes like it's your cardio activity and you've got a giant family history project gathering dust, this video is not for you. If you only care about your direct ancestors, then this video is definitely not for you. And if you're brand new to genealogy, you might want to skip this video or stick around towards the end because I have a special message just for you. But if you like tracking your contribution stacks like a find a grave badge collector, I've got a project you're going to love and probably won't get you in a lot of trouble in the genealogy community. So, is anyone still there? Anyone at all? If you are, tap the like button so I know whether there are 10 of you or 1,000 equally crazy people still watching this video. But all right, there's one final warning. What I'm about to show you is addictive. Before filming today, I got on my computer at 6:30 in the morning and I thought, I'd dive in for about 10 minutes to be ready to film by about 9 a.m. The next thing I knew, it's 9:45, my bum is sore, and my laundry is still blocking the hallway. So, if you've got chores and deadlines, you want to exercise, or let's be honest, you have any life outside of genealogy, you might want to stop watching this video. Go ahead, you can. Wait, are you still here? FamilySearch quietly rolled out a global hinting campaign. And this campaign is why it's been keeping me from making videos this summer since I got back from Finland. You can help build the One World family tree by reviewing high quality hints by scrolling down below. Apparently, we can create a richer, more accurate family tree for the entire human family. Instead of scrolling Facebook or Instagram, playing solitaire or shooting bubbles, you can be connecting families. Reviewing global hints is not about name gathering, but it's about strengthening the global family tree so others can confidently use it. Family Search offers 3 easy steps for working for global hints. You compare the record with the person, you find multiple details that match, and you add the new information to the tree and click attach. But honestly, if you follow those steps too quickly, you'll create a mess. So, I want to share with you the method I've been using, which keeps me out of the tangles and still lines up with some of Family Search's best advice. Now, when I log into Family Search, it defaults to the United States, and you can work with hints from all over the United States. But if you get something that says we don't have any records, click into a subregion that might actually help you. So we're going to do United States, and then we're going to go down to Ohio. I've been doing a lot in Ohio because I have a lot of ancestors from Ohio. Now, I have selected Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Texas because I have familiarity with those states, but you can choose any of the ones listed here. Additionally, if you are from Australia or New Zealand, you may want to check that one out. There is also some other places: Africa, Asia, the Middle East, Canada, and so forth. So be sure to check in this drop down menu. And let's just do Canada for funsies. If you click on Canada, you might be able to hit a sub-region, and then you can choose British Columbia or Ontario. That would probably be another place I would work on because I do have ancestors from Ontario, so I'm a little bit familiar with those records. But I'm going to go back to the United States and I'm going to choose Ohio. And when you scroll down, you will see some hints. Now, global hints are very similar to the hints that you have in your family tree. Let's go ahead and click through to this one. You see there's these hints along the side, but the difference is this hint isn't necessarily one of your relatives. More on that in a little bit. What I do want to touch on is that every time you come back to this page, it serves up a new hint. Step 2, after selecting your region, is to click through to the hints. Now, FamilySearch recommends that you click review hints. And when you review the hint, then you are taken to the record page. And then if you click attach to tree, then you will be able to verify that the record belongs to this person. But notice we already have some potential problems. It's not always the case, but it could be. And if we just looked at this profile, we wouldn't know if Helen Sonsnow is Helen Moisef. I'm not sure if I said that right at all. Please forgive me if I did. But we have a different spelling for Stanley. That could be an Americanized name, as well as Caroline. That's spelled with a C versus a K. That's not necessarily problematic, but we do have different spellings for those last names. And there just isn't enough right here in order to go through and validate that this record belongs to these people. Now, FamilySearch has a great tip that says you need to look at more than just the names. You need to look at 3 points of alignment. And right now, I'm not necessarily seeing it, but it doesn't mean the hint doesn't apply. So, good genealogists always tell you to go either look at the image this source linker is based on. So, you can do that right here, and you can go to the image and you can start scrolling around looking for the information about that family to see if it gives you more details. But you still are going to be struggling. And that's why I'm going to give you a different suggestion. Instead of viewing the source record page and then going to the source linker page, let's go get to know Caroline and however you say that last name. If somebody knows how to say it, let me know how to say it in the comments. That would be great. Now, we are on the person profile page. And by coming here, we're going to get to know the person that hint is about. And this will help us from making snap decisions and confusing people that have same name problem. Now, I want to give you a warning story before you jump into this global hinting, because let's face it, things can get messy when working with hints. A number of my colleagues have videos about the problems with using hints, but hints aren't always bad. They actually fuel a lot of great research rapidly because they're dealing with low-hanging fruit. However, you can run into the same name tangle. I was working with a man a week or so ago, and his name was David Arco, and he married a Jenny Champa. You are not going to believe it. There was another, it was Frank Arco and Jenny Champa. There was a second Frank Arco and Jenny Champa who both lived in Cleveland and Ohio about the same time. One man was about 3 years older than the other. And I started noticing that there were too many children. I mean, it's possible to have 19 children, but it just seemed a little odd. And I started digging a little deeper, and someone somewhere along the way did not look at the details in the profile and realize there are 2 Frank Arcos who both married a Jenny Champa, but those men had different children with the 2 women and had different occupations and different death dates. And once you saw that, you knew, oh, okay. And so I had to untangle that hot mess of a tree. But it was fun because it challenged my skills. And I even had to make a few notes of who's who and what date, and in order to get the folks lined up. So When you're working with hints, whether it's for your own tree or someone else, you've got to do a little bit of due diligence, which is why I don't want you to go to that record page. I do want you to come over here onto the actual person page. Now, for funsies, before I even start dealing with the hints, I like to see if there's any possibility that FamilySearch has found my relationship to the individual. In this case, I'm going to click on, and at this time, there's no known relationship with this person. And that's why it said it's global hinting. More often than not, I have not found that I'm related to the people that FamilySearch give me hints for, but on occasion it does, and that's kind of fun. Now, this is where I'm going to tell you to ignore the hints for now. And first, make sure this profile is cleaned up. Now, I don't know about locations in Russia in order to correct the standardized birthplace, but I realized there's no source for that. So that is going to be something we want to see if we can come up with. Another thing I like to do is I like to go through and I like to standardize the death and the place and then see if they have anything for that information. Right now, it doesn't. In fact, they have a lot of legacy sources on this profile. I will recommend you clean that up in a little bit. But we're going to scroll down just a little bit further. We see that there are other name variations, but no sources at this profile. So it's entirely possible that this profile was abandoned a while ago. So another thing I like to do is scroll down and see the last time somebody did work on this profile in August, but they didn't they deleted something by saying same family members, a relationship. But the reason is same family members. The only thing that there we go. There is a merge, and that's why this person got deleted. However, one of the things that I'm not seeing is I'm not seeing anybody adding sources. So this profile was created not that long ago and no sources were attached, but the original profile was created way back when FamilySearch began. So there looks like there's been a little bit of work done on this profile, but not adding sources. So when you run into that, these hints are going to be building the case. So we have a spouse, Staska Moskowitz, and we have a potential father, and we have some children down below. We're going to click on the Collaborate tab. Birth information obtained from family, although it's listed as Russia. This is in Lithuania. Oh, that's great. I have been enjoying working with Lithuanians. There is family tradition detail, and this is kind of nice, but this was created in 2013 by an unknown contributor. So we're going to see if we can align some of this information with this story. You're not always going to have the Collaborate tab filled with any information, but if it's there, go ahead and grab it. I'm also going to recommend that you detach these legacy sources because they're outdated and not really useful. Now, I want to pop over to this other profile just for a moment to give you some of the things that I like to clean up before we start adding those sources back to Caroline in the beginning. One of the things that FamilySearch has rolled out is the ability to link facts to their sources, and a lot of profiles haven't been doing that. So one of the things I like to do is come down here, click on the source, and tag it. So if you haven't seen that before, just pause the video, rewind, and if you need to do the video speed reduction, go ahead and do that so you can see the steps. But they're pretty straightforward once you just open it. Now, this is for a resident in 2002. And here is an obituary that would have given that information. So I go through and I attach things. Now, this is where I ran into that Frank Arco who married a Jenny. I saw 3 1930 residences, 2 1920, and 2 1910. And when I clicked in to try to attach the sources, There were two sources for the 1910, 1920, and 3 for the 1930, and I knew that that was going to be a problem. So that's another reason why it is valuable to come in and tag it before you start getting into the full hinting that you're going to process. So all of this looks good on this profile. So now I'm going to go to Ernest and see if there's anything else. There'll be a couple of things, so we'll come back and give you some pointers on. So right here, we're going back to Catherine, and we're seeing that there is a daughter who is marrying a Ralph, and then there is the name of the parents, Stanley and Katie. And that's the only source we have so far. So now we can go and process these hints to see if we can build a case for this profile. So let's go ahead and start with this Carolina death record. So we have the name that's spelled fairly similar, an I versus a Y. Demoltswitz, the seeds. I'm not too bothered by the TZ and the CZ. That's pretty close. The Stanley, this spelling variation is problematic to me, but notice we have this man with this date with the years being off slightly. We have December 8th in 1893, and we have the date and everything else aligning. If you do not feel confident that this is the right family, you don't have to do the source. Just skip the hint and move on to the next one. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to actually close out of Caroline, and we're going to come over here and work with Ernest. Ernest, you need Jean Mullins. I'm going to recommend after you do these cleanup of the facts, remove anything that's redundant, make sure it's all connected with a source on this page, then come to this page and review the unfinished attachments. There's going to be a lot that you're going to learn about the families from the unfinished attachments. Let's dive in and see what we have. So this obituary is for his sister Gladys. And so I'm going to change the person so we're focusing on her. Gladys 1910 to 2002. It's linked to a profile with her spouse. And we have a son named Charles or Nick, as well as Lucien. Now, I'm not going to attach or create a profile for Lucien. Can you tell why? Let me zoom in and see if you can understand. Oh, let's see. Charles was born in 1943. So a brother would probably be born in 1940 and has the distinct possibility of still being alive. So if someone could be alive, I'm not going to attach that. But it looks like that's the reason why there's an unfinished attachment. It's because somebody might still be alive. Now, occasionally you're going to run into situations where it's a lodger in a census record, and you could dismiss that unfinished attachment notice. It could be a place of business. I've seen that a lot in the World War I and II draft records. The place of business will be a person hint, and so you can click dismiss. I've seen a number, just like a number in a field that's a person, so you can hit dismiss. So if it is still somebody that a researcher in the future or a family member of the future could take advantage of by saying, hey, that's a new person, let's attach them, leave that for them in the future. But once this is all cleaned up, then we're going to go to the details page or the details tab, and we're going to process a hint. So as I scroll down, I open the hint by clicking on the hint. Let's do that one more time for those who might have missed it. Click on the hint for marriage. This pops up, but I still have the ability to scroll down to view the family members. Now, you can customize your view screen. So maybe your people are above the vital events, and that's why you're like, wait, well, mine are at the top. Why are you low? It's because there is a my layout settings where I drop my people down. But in any case, I'm looking at this record. It says Ernest Eugene Mullins, and this is a marriage to a Violet Maxine Staley. And it just looks like it might be a source to validate that marriage. So let's go ahead and dive in a little bit. So far as I'm looking through here, now FamilySearch says try to find 2 to 3 points of alignment, like a date, a place, and a relative that aligns, that makes you confident that this source belongs to the hint that it's suggesting. And so we're looking through and we're seeing John Mullins, Sadie Thompson, Ernest Eugene. I like it has the middle name. The birth year is about 1926. We don't have a birthplace. And then this is already linked to a Violet Maxine Staley as well. Someone already decided that it belongs to her, but they didn't link it to Ernest. So all we have to do is go ahead and attach it. Now, at this point, I would say it's important to write a reason statement. What reason statement should you add? Well, I've seen some people write part of a community project or, just volunteering, and that's not really helpful. So tell people why you think the record belongs to the profile and with the hint. So let me go ahead and type that real quick, and then I'll show you what I wrote. Now, I wrote something that looks like this. I'll try to zoom in a little for you. This marriage record provides evidence of the birth and marriage dates and places for the people supporting previously gathered information. You're saying it supports previously gathered information. If something's wrong, it's because somebody else made a mistake on the previous attempts. I think it's sufficient. And then it says that it shows evidence of a relationship. I'm trying to use a little more of the genealogy proof standard language, if you will. Not perfect, but just letting people know, hey, I think this shows evidence of relationships, and it also shows evidence of vital records or vital events. And I'm also going to use a few names so that people know when they see this reason statement, if it pops up kind of weird, they'll see, oh, somebody found some information on a marriage record, and that's where this information is coming from. So I go ahead and I click attach, and then I go ahead and come up here, and you can, if you want to, tailor it to include the relationship that pertains to these people. You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to build this little linking trail of why I'm making the decisions I'm making. So I went ahead and click attach. And because I'm zoomed in, let me zoom out so much you can see there really isn't a lot of scrolling when you zoom out. And there we go. So now I've processed that hint, and I will go back now after the original hint that brought me to this profile and see if there's anything else. There's one more, so let's go ahead and do it very quickly. What I like about the new source linker page is that you can grab updated details as you're working, which is kind of nice. Before, you had to go back to this page, make the change, and then finish the linking. Now, you could go ahead and add a reason statement. That is basically what you do. Leave your reason statements, add the profile, see what's going on. And once you've processed all the hints, the next thing I like to do is to see he lived until 2002. He was born in 1926, and sometimes I'll go ahead and do a quick search on FamilySearch to see if I can find that 1950 census. So I'll sort by collection. And remember, I'm just doing this quick. I'm looking for low-hanging fruit. I'm not trying to build it all out. And here's a very good possibility. He's an inmate. Oh my goodness. And he's separated. Oh my goodness. We're learning a lot about Ernest. So he's an inmate, which is why all of these names are so different. We go ahead and look at the image. Where is he an inmate? Ohio State Reformatory. I think this is prison. And if we look for his name. So I finally found Eugene Ernest Mullins, and there is a little bit of information there. At this time, I'm not going to attach it. I would rather do a little more details before I would attach it to my own relative. So it's okay. Remember, this is volunteering. And so I'm going to go ahead and skip it for now. But I could go through and see if there's some other possibilities in the family search hints that might apply to him. After I've gathered any more additional sources for him, one of the things I will recommend, because this is what creates the rabbit hole, is I'll start looking to see if the siblings that he has, parents that he has, all have dates of birth dates and death dates. And this is when you can start really going down rabbit holes, because sometimes there'll be hints. There's not one here, but there's other things to clean up. Notice, boom, there's sources that need to be linked. There are unfinished attachments. And then we would try to see if we could find the death date for this individual. And then you would just move on to the next person that is lacking either a death date or a birth date information. You'll find as you're building people to the tree, they'll be missing one or more of those. Again, look at all this cleanup work that can be done. And then I can come down here. There's another unfinished attachment to work with. Let's see this real quick before we go. There's an Ernestine daughter. Now, she was born in 1921. I'm going to be a little hesitant about putting somebody born before, well, after 1920 into the tree. That's just my kind of guideline. If it comes up very quickly for me to say, yeah, this is the relative, then I will go ahead and put that in. Now, here are a lot of different people in this entry. We're going to view the record and see what's going on. Now, in this case, the Stilners are here, but the number is kind of wonky. It's not being consecutive. And if I go back to the page before, there's lots of scribblage happening. And if we go to the source linker, there's a whole bunch of notes that the computer that indexed this record had some problems trying to figure out who belonged to whom. So in this case, this is one of those times I'd go ahead and click dismiss, because I don't believe the rest of those people are going to be family members. So that's basically what you do. You just keep building it out, attaching hints, and just keep going down the rabbit trail of building these families. Once I get into a hotspot of work that can be done, there'll be hints for the main person. There will be hints for their relatives, and then there'll be new people added based on those unfinished attachments and new hints. I can get lost for quite a while, and that's when I start having an aching bum and the laundry doesn't get finished. I need to remember to do things in moderation, because I kind of have put a number of my projects on hold and I haven't made any videos for a while. So moderation is not going too well. So if you have any tips, let me know. So who should participate in the Global Hint Initiative? It really hasn't been rolled out to everybody, and it is a little bit difficult to find. You have to either use the link that will be in the description box below, or search FamilySearch Global Hint Campaign in your favorite browser, and then you'll be able to find the link for it. So here are my recommendations. First, I think intermediate and advanced level genealogists could benefit from supporting this campaign. It can help keep your skills sharp and help you give back to FamilySearch, since FamilySearch is free. And you're giving back into the One World Family Tree, making it build out where people have maybe neglected a profile that was put in 2012. Another group of individuals who could benefit from helping with Global Hint, I've heard a number of people who say, well, my family tree is full. Aunt Martha did everything and there's nothing left to do. Well, if you want to be singing the song Genealogy, I am doing it, my genealogy, you can go to the Global Hint feature and find places to work on the family tree. And who knows, you may actually find out that they were some of your relatives. It has happened on occasion to me, so it could very well help on your situation as well. But again, if Aunt Martha did it all, well, now you can be an Aunt Martha for someone else. You'll be a surrogate Aunt Martha. Another group of individuals I highly recommend um, utilizing this service and contributing to it is individuals with language skills and familiarity with the parts of the world that are under documented and underserved. I have heard from a number of missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints when they go and try to start helping people, be they people interested in the church or just interested in their heritage, they do find a steep learning curve in genealogy practices for countries around the world. And if starter twigs and branches are put together in the family tree, it can ignite this spark of love for their ancestors, turn their hearts to their fathers, like it does say in Malachi that needs to happen. And it is a great way to contribute. So if you do have Lithuanian skill sets, or if you do speak any of the Latin Romance languages and you want to help in those areas, this is a great way to keep your skills sharp and benefit the cultures that you may appreciate. Another group is learners who want to practice their genealogy skills in a region. Let's say that you're trying to strengthen your muscles in New Mexico. I wanted to build my skills in New Mexico while I lived here. Using the global hint and filtering to New Mexico, I was able to start adding some hints to some New Mexico former residents because they're deceased. And my knowledge of some of the record sets, as well as my knowledge of the Pueblo, I guess, non-Pueblo residents, helped me straighten out a situation where somebody asked, "Hey, these two same name men are having kids and I can't separate it." And I was able to use my knowledge of the Pueblo that was around Albuquerque, as well as the city of Albuquerque, and say, "No, those are two different families. One's living on the Pueblo, one is not. So while the names are the same, the families are different." And I was able to leverage my skill. So global hinting can throw you into a project and have you use your skills if you're trying to familiarize yourself with a particular region. Now, who shouldn't be working on this? I'm going to say beginners without supervision, meaning yes, your Aunt Martha did something and you want to learn genealogy, but you have no place to go. So you're going to go do global hints. You can make a big mess of the family tree if you do not have someone teaching you genealogy practices so you can leverage your evaluation skills and put it into practice. So if beginners get into a workshop and maybe their family is complicated or they don't actually know a lot about their family. It does happen. I've worked with a lot of beginners and they just don't know anything about their parents and their grandparents. Well, global hinting in a place that you are from can help you build your genealogy skills so then you can go tackle your more difficult family tree. So, beginners, that was my special message. And if you stuck around for the end, I hope you will heed the warning. Have someone help you, and then maybe you'll get your skills up to speed very quickly. Now, for those who like to rack up statistics, I have one final little nugget. If you stuck around this far, thank you so much. Let me show you something that's pretty cool, because if you like statistics and if you like you know, contributing and discovering just how much of an impact you're having, click on Family Tree and scroll down to My Contributions. Now, I zoomed way in, but if you click on Statistics right here, you can see your contributions. Now, I have been working with FamilySearch since it began in 2012 online, and here is 2025. And so that's a lot of contributions, but one of the things I really like to see is broken down by sources. 10,000 sources I have added, and most of them are not from my family. It is me getting addicted to the global hinting because adding names isn't always something you're going to be able to do, but adding a lot of sources, that that's been my jam. That's a pretty great number. And the other thing it will show you is how many new people you've created. And these are people I've created because of those unfinished attachments. So far this year, I've added 900. Now, mind you, compare that to when I was doing my Ohio 133rd project, I only added maybe about 200 names or so. Some of those were actually additional family names, but about two, maybe 300 names. But this global hinting, I've been adding quite a few. When I said I've been addicted, it is crazy. So for those of you who like statistics and want to rack up some pretty big numbers, there you go. That I showed you how to find it. By participating in global hinting, you're improving the family tree for future researchers, but only if you take time to do it right. So don't just go straight to that source linker page and start adding things. Dive in, clean up the profiles, and leverage the skills that you've gathered to make things well. So in the comment section, I want you to tell me, have you tried the FamilySearch Global Hinting? Did you even know it existed? Are you going to go try it? And how will you restrain your enthusiasm for building the family tree? Because I really could use some tips. Until next time, have a great day and check out this video right here for more tips on family history tree building.